Hello everyone, welcome to the lecture series on computer architecture and organization. This is part 2 of lecture 3 that is about cache memory. So how can we reduce the cache misses by more flexible placement of blocks? It means that we can reduce the cache misses by more flexible placement of blocks. So first thing what we have discussed is in the last lecture, that is the part 1, that is direct mapping. So what is direct mapping? A block can go in exactly one place in the cache. As mentioned in the previous lecture, it is called direct map because there is a direct mapping from any block address in memory to a single location in the upper level of the hierarchy. However, there is actually a whole range of schemes for placing the blocks. Direct map, where a block can be placed in exactly one location, is at one extreme. If you see here in this direct mapping, so this is how we are mapping. We are directly mapping. If this is the fourth location, then we are directly mapping to the fourth location of the cache memory. This is called as this is about this direct mapping. But if you see here at the other extreme is a scheme where a block can be placed in any location in the cache. So the block can be placed in any of the location. Whereas in the previous direct mapping, we just according to the index of the cache, the index that is being derived from the memory address, we just map to the cache. But in this fully associative, we can place a block anywhere in the location, anywhere location of the cache. So such a scheme is called as fully associative because a block in memory may be associated with any entry in the cache. To find a given block in a fully associative cache, all the entries in the cache must be searched because a block can be placed in any one. But in direct mapping, if we want to search, we can just search a particular location according to the least significant bits of the memory address. According to the least significant bits, according to the size we calculated. So we can directly search according to the location in the cache, the location that is being derived from the memory address, and with the help of the tag field. Tag field is nothing but the upper two bits, that is the upper most significant two bits in case if the memory address is of 5 bit. Okay, so we can just check about this tag field and check about this index of the cache field. Index of the cache field may be 3 in case if the memory address is of 5 bit length. So we can search according to that. But in this fully associative, we want to search all the fields of the cache because the block may be of anywhere in the cache size. Okay. So this is another thing that is about set associative. The middle range of designs between the direct mapped and fully associative is called the set associative. In a set associative cache, there are a fixed number of locations where each block can be placed. A set associative cache with n locations for a block is called a n-way set associative cache. An n-way set associative cache consists of a number of sets, each of which consists of n blocks. So this n-way set associative cache consists of number of sets and each consists of n blocks. Each block in the memory maps to a unique set in the cache given by an index field, and a block can be placed in any element of the set. If you can see here, we are having two places for set 0 and two places for set 1 and two places for set 2 and two places for set 3. If you want to if you want to search a data, then the data may be in any one of the location in a particular set. It can't be here, it can't be anywhere else other than the set 0, because if it is mapped to set 0, then any one of the locations under the set 0, the data will be there. In other locations, we need not to search. In fully associative, we need to search all the cache sizes, all the cache addresses, but here we need not to search like that. We can search only the sets. Okay. So position of a memory block. In a direct map cache, the position of the memory block is given by block number modulo number of blocks in the cache, or simply we can say log 2 of the lower order bits of the cache size. So that thing we can directly do. In a set associative cache, the set containing a memory block is given by block number modulo number of sets in the cache. So these are all the block placement strategies as a variation on set associative rate. So we can represent anything on basis of this set associativity. So the given figure shows the possible associativity structures for an 8 block cache. If you see here, this is a direct map, but this is a one-way set associative. One-way set associative in the sense it has only one set which has tag as well as the data. Okay, so the cache size we are having it here, it is as 8. So this is an 8 block cache. So a direct map cache is simply a one-way set associative cache. Each cache entry holds one block and each set has only one element. But a fully associative cache with m entries is simply an m-way set associative cache. It has one set with m blocks and an entry can reside in any block within that set. If you see here, this is a direct map cache. This is direct map cache is also called as one-way set associative. One way in the sense it is of one. It is one set that is tag and data. If you see here, we are having two. This is a little bit modified. The drawing is little bit modified. If you see here, the set 0 has two. That is the two. That is the two blocks we can see. This is tag data, and set 1 has two blocks, and set 2 has two blocks, and set 3 has two blocks. Similarly, we can see this four-way set associative in the sense the sets has the each set has four block, and eight-way associative in the sense the each set has 8 blocks. So the total cache size is 8, hence we are having the only one set which has 8 blocks. So why we need to go for this block placement strategies as a variation on set associative? Why we need to do like this? Because the advantage of increasing the degree of associativity is that it usually decreases the miss rate. But the main disadvantage here is a potential increase in the hit time. So these are all the 4 Qs what we have discussed in the previous lecture as well as in this lecture. So question 1, where can a block be placed? So the one thing is that if you see here for the direct, it is according to the scheme, the placing of the block is changing. So if you have this direct map, the number of sets is number of blocks in the cache, nothing but it is an one-way set associative, and the blocks per set is 1. If it is a set associativity, then the number of blocks in the cache divided by this associativity. So associativity will vary from 2 to 16. And fully associative, the number of sets is 1, whereas if the blocks per set is number of blocks in the cache. So this goes like this. So how is a block found? That is the question number 2. So if you see here in the direct map, the location method is index. Comparison requires only one comparison we require. But in set associativity, the location method is based on index, the set, search among the elements. Okay, and the comparison required, it depends on the degree of associativity. And full in the sense that is the fully mapped, the location method is it search all the cache entries and it has a separate lookup table, and it depends upon the size of the cache. Okay, so if you see about this, which block should be replaced on a cache miss? There are two primary strategies for replacement in set associative or fully associative classes. One is a random and another one is least recently used. Mostly we are using this least recently used method for so long. A random in the sense candidate blocks are randomly selected, possibly using some hardware assistance. For example, MIP support random replacement for transition that is this transfer look aside buffer misses. And least recently used in the sense the block replaced is the one that has been unused for the longest time, and this is the algorithm which we are using very frequently. And question number 4, that what happens on a write. So we have discussed what are the things we have that happens on write through, write back, and the drawback for write through is met with the help of this write buffer. And using this write buffer too, there will be some disadvantages. Hence, we need to increase the depth of the buffer for writing. So in order to overcome that, we are going for the write back scheme. These things we have discussed in the previous lecture. Thank you.